right, everybody, let's begin in a comfortable seat this Tuesday morning. We have in the past several days been reviewing the 8 limbs of yoga sequentially. So we started with the yamas, which are sort of the ethical code or moral restraint practices. Then the niyamas, the second limb, was about practices within ourselves to strengthen our connection within. And then the third was asanas, the physical postures, embodying presence. The fifth was pranayama, various mindful breath techniques to regulate life force throughout the body. And then the fifth was pratyahara, withdrawal of external senses to go inward. And then yesterday was dharana, which is the practice of concentration. So as you can see the pattern, it goes from the outside world to more of a focus inward. Today, diving into meditation, the 7th limb of yoga. In Sanskrit, it's called Dhyana. So here's a little bit from the Shaolin Temple website about Dhyana. It comes from the Sanskrit word dhyai, which means to think of. Dhyana calls for concentration and meditation on a point of focus with the goal of knowing the truth about it. This deeper concentration of the mind is the instrument of self-knowledge, where one can separate illusion from reality and eventually reach the 8th limb of yoga, samadhi, total absorption with the object of concentration. According to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which were compiled by the sage Patanjali before 400 AD, the purpose of meditation is to stop the unsteadiness of normal mental activity, like sensory knowledge, memory, and imagination. Of these, memory is the hardest to silence since it constantly feeds us glimpses from the past, along with a ceaseless stream of thoughts and feelings. Like the other limbs of yoga, meditation is a systematic process, which takes practice and patience to learn. Imagine taming a puppy that would rather frolic about than be still. You will need to train your mind to come back to you when you tell it to, and to sit still, even if for only a few moments at a time. As one continues to listen to oneself more and sit in silence, one becomes more aware of oneself. Now here's something interesting I found from the Chopra Center website. And this article was written by Vedic educator Michelle Fonlin. She said that in meditation, there is an awareness of the observer, the object of observation, and the observed. Suppose you are using a candle as a visual meditation. The candle is the object of observation. You, the person creating focus on the candle, are the observer. And the awareness that you bring to yourself in performing the candle meditation is the observed. Yet in this practice, there is constant thought. The work of bringing awareness to a specific activity, even in inactivity, is effort in doing something. The mind is still active, alone, with at least one of the senses. Interestingly, she points out that there is a difference between meditation as a practice and the state of being that is dhyana. Meditation is the pathway to the state of dhyana. Through the mantras, the chants, positive affirmations, whether they be Sanskrit chants or your own, and one pointed attention, like we practiced yesterday, you can break through total awareness. Dhyana is the state of pure Atma, which is Sanskrit for pure consciousness, self-awareness, also known as soul. Love reigns the 7th limb of yoga. Love flows through you and creates a higher vibrational frequency within you. Why is that? Because then the ego falls away in dhyana and you transcend the confines of the mind. She says, finally, attainment of dhyana is not through willing it to become. The greater you seek it, the more it will slip away from you. Your preparedness for the seventh limb of yoga will come with a consistent practice of the other 6 limbs. Then, like a lotus flower unfurling in readiness, Dhyana will seek you. I love that because we always talk about yoga as being a practice. So, not to be so hard on ourselves when we try to sit for meditation and you're feeling like the mind is just everywhere. The mind is everywhere pretty much most of the time. And the fact that we're sitting to pay attention to it just brings awareness to that fact. So being in a state of watching it, watching the fluctuations of thoughts and the talk of the ego, through time, through patience, through kindness, ahimsa, with ourselves and allowing the truth to surface, then we can become more proficient at meditation. So we'll go into a guided meditation for the last 2 minutes of today's practice. We'll utilize breath work to bring us into a calmer state of mind to prepare for meditation. We'll also move in meditation as we synchronize conscious breath to movement of the body. So let's sit tall and comfortably, grounding through left and right sitting bones. Take a moment to uplift your spine and roll the shoulders a few times back and down, forward and up, then back and down. Take notice, maybe by closing your eyes, the way that your body is breathing right now, sensing your state of mind and energy, knowing that emotions themselves are energy in motion. What is your body asking you through the physical practice of yoga to help eliminate physical distractions that will allow you to sit in watching of the mind? Let the shoulders soften slightly behind you and down. Let's begin to deepen the breath. Feeling the inhalation expand wherever it naturally expands within your body. Let the exhalation release with an audible sound through your mouth. Easing the breath in a little deeper. Releasing the breath out a little slower. For those of us who are more kinesthetic in our learning, you might bring your hands to your stomach as you direct more breath focus there. Expanding and while closing the lips. Either continue a sustained balanced breath or practice 1 minute of Bhastrika Pranayama, which is an energizing breath work. And the Kriya itself has hand movements, so I'll demonstrate. It begins with the elbows bent apart and hands like fists. And as you inhale, the arms raise, the fingers spread. As you exhale, you rebend the elbows, hands like fists. Here's a quick demo. Deep breaths, using the diaphragm, closing the lips, steadying the inward gaze right between the eyebrows. So if you'd like to prepare, begin with the elbows bent apart, hands like fists, shoulders stay relaxed, tall spine. Starting the timer. Ready? Begin. Relax with the eyes closed, breathing naturally. Just observe the effects for a moment. As you continue to close the lips, sustain your breath, again, equally through the nose, now while softly narrowing the back of your throat so that you hear a gentle whisper. Using Ujjayi Pranayama or Victorious breath to keep the nervous system calm, to create an audio focus for the mind, as well as to warm up the body. Attuning to your breath rhythm, softly open your eyes and let's lower onto all fours, hands and knees. Setting your knees on the ground and your wrists 2 inches in front of your shoulders so that we can begin cat-cow pose, synchronizing, moving the spine to your breath. So on your next inhale, begin to lengthen your spine forward, then roll your shoulders behind you, lifting the chest as you gaze slightly up into cow pose. As you exhale, contract your belly, tucking the tailbone under your body as you drop your skull to round in cat pose. Keep going nice and slow. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward, then broaden the chest up, sliding the shoulders down. Exhale, contract the abdomen, dropping the tailbone and head as you dome the spine. Take maybe 3 more slow cycles of breath of Betalasana, cat-cow pose. Later, when we move through plank pose into cobra or upward facing dog in what's called vinyasa, if you ever want to tone down the physical practice, you could replace that part with this cat-cow. Now exhale to a neutral spine and set your wrists directly under your shoulders. As you spread your fingers, look down and see that your index fingers both point forward, parallel to each other. The thumbs are wide and flat. Now give the hands the feeling as if you're pushing the ground away. So rather than your shoulders sort of collapsing downward, you're creating space within the shoulder joints and lengthening the sides of your neck as you gaze on the floor in front of your hands. Draw your shoulder blades wide apart across the back ribs and slide them away from the neck. Now feel the lower belly engage. Inhale, raise the right leg, flexing the foot. Exhale, bend the right knee towards your nose, rounding the back. Inhale, raise the right leg behind. Looking forward, exhale, tap right knee to left elbow or outer upper arm in a spinal twist. Inhale, raise the right leg. Exhale, tap the right elbow or outer upper arm, opening up the hip. Now begin to circle the right thigh at the hip socket at your own pace of breath. Hugging your left hip towards the midline of your body. Be aware if it starts to shift out to the left side. Rotate the right leg in the opposite direction. Just a couple more deep breaths. Keep rooting down through fingers spread and rebounding your weight off the ground. On your next inhalation, raise the right leg behind you and up, lifting the chest as you look up. Now keep lifting the lower belly here, making sure it's not lax and collapsing towards the ground. Spin your inner right thigh towards the ceiling so you feel your right hip bone turn downward towards the mat. Take another breath, lifting the chest, lifting the right heel. Then as you exhale lightly, by rounding, step the right foot just inside of your right hand. So now you're in a kneeling lunge. Come onto your fingertips, both outside of your right leg on both sides. You can use blocks underneath your hands if you feel like your shoulders are tightening up towards the neck. Look ahead of your mat, encouraging broadening in the chest. As your left knee stays on the ground, just under your left hip. Inhale here and see if you can allow your pelvis to just feel a little heavier towards the floor. Now as you breathe out, keep your right heel where it is, lift the ball of your right foot, flexing the toes back, and begin to straighten the right leg by scissoring your right thigh bone deeper into the hip socket. At the same time, grow your chest forward in an effort of keeping your hips squared while you fold. Now let's flow back and forth. Inhale, rebend the right knee, the sole of the foot flat on the floor, knee above the heel. Exhale, scissor your right outer hip back, grow evenly through the sides of your torso and fold. Let's take 3 more cycles of breath. Inhale, bend the front knee just over the heel. Exhale, scissor the right hip back, flexing the right toes up as you fold. Deep breath in to a lunge. Exhale to that half split, straightening the right leg to fold. One more time. Inhale to a lunge. Exhale, half split, Ardha Hanumanasana. Now back to a lunge. See that your legs are hips width apart. Firm your right foot onto the ground facing forward. Keeping your left hand either on the ground or blocked directly under the left shoulder. Raise your right arm up towards the sky so the palm faces the right wall. Keep your 2 hips hugging your midline, and now direct your focus on your waistline as you rotate your rib cage, turning your chest towards the right wall. Sliding both shoulder blades down your back ribs, keep your right knee pointing forward, making sure it's not splaying to the right. Continue to rotate the rib cage. If it feels okay on your neck, look up, pass the right thumb towards the sky as we worked on yesterday using our gaze, a steady point of focus for the eyes, to help that preliminary stage of meditation, which is concentration. 2 more breaths here. Rotate the outer side of your right upper arm towards the right wall, so the pinky finger points to the right, and then reach the right arm overhead towards the front wall while maintaining space to the sides of your neck. Take 1 more full breath, spiraling the chest open. Now set your right hand inside of your right leg on the floor or your blocks, and step your right foot a few more inches closer to the right side of your mat in lizard lunge. As your hands are on blocks or the floor, this time flex your right foot while splaying the right thigh open, so that it's the knife outer edge of your right foot that leans on the floor without you sickling your foot. So we're not rolling onto the outer ankle. As you breathe, extend your chest forward. You might opt to lower your forearms, feeling more sensation in the outer hip if that's appropriate. Continue to draw your right outer hip back in an effort of equally lengthening from your armpits, down the sides of your waist to your outer hips. Let's take 3 more deep breaths here in this version of lizard lunge. Opening into your right outer hip and thigh. IT band at the outer right thigh. With a steady point of focus of your eyes, steady your focus on what brought you here to your mat today. What inspired you to practice this connection between your mind, your body, your spirit, and tune into your breath. Begin to place your hands flat on the ground and step back to hands and knees so wrists are directly under shoulders, fingers are spread. Lift the lower belly and draw the chest forward. Inhale, raise the left leg behind you. Exhale, round the back and bend the left knee towards your nose, pushing the ground away with the hands. Inhale, raise the left leg back. This time, keep the shoulders still and cross the left knee to tap the right elbow or outer upper arm in a twist. Inhale, raise the left leg. This time, tap left knee to left elbow or outer upper arm. Inhale, raise the left leg. Now bend the knee, keep it bent, the left foot flex, and begin to circle the left thigh bone at the hip socket. A few directions, or a few times in both directions. Just a few more breaths. Notice if that right hip is starting to shift over to the right side more. Hug it in towards the midline of your body, using the muscles for core stability. Inhale, square the hips and straighten the left leg up and back. So you're arching here, but not collapsing the belly. Lift the lower belly, turn the left hip bone to face the floor, and tack your right outer hip towards the rear of the mat. Take another deep breath. And as you contract the belly, try to softly land the left foot just inside of your left hand into a kneeling lunge. With your hands framing the left heel, you might have blocks underneath them. Lifting the chest, gaze towards the front edge of your mat, and take a deep breath in. Keeping your right knee just below your right hip, flex the left toes up and begin to straighten the left leg by scissoring the left hip back, growing the spine forward as you fold. Let's flow. Inhale, step the left foot down, rebending the knee to a lunge. Exhale, draw the left hip back, straightening the front leg as you flex the foot and fold. 3 more rounds. Inhale, lunge. Keeping that naturally open space at your throat in both postures. Exhale, straighten and fold. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, straighten and fold. Focusing on the sound of your breath. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, scissor and fold. From here, return to the lunge. Set the left foot firmly flat and facing forward. Right hand stays on the block or on the floor directly under right shoulder as you raise the left arm, palm faces the left wall. Hug your outer hips towards your midline, and at your waistline, begin to twist to your left, turning the rib cage. Draw the shoulder blades both down your back ribs as you lengthen the crown of your head towards your front wall. Exhale, hollow your belly. Keep the left foot still, left knee is facing the front of the mat as you continue to twist. Taking about 3 more deep breaths here, helping to energize energy centers that generally lie throughout the spine, as well as stimulate digestion and help to create mobility in the spine. Rotate your left tricep, outer upper arm, pinky finger side to face the left wall. Then reach the left arm overhead towards the front wall and take 1 more deep breath, spiraling your chest open into the twist. Now look at your left foot, place your left hand inside of that foot and scoot your left foot a few more inches to the left side, preparing for lizard lunge. Remember that you can have blocks under your hands here to create more space in your neck. Flexing your left foot, splay your left thigh open, and feel that you're just leaning the knife outer pinky toe edge of your left foot on the floor without collapsing the outer ankle to the ground. In that way, you're pointing the middle of your left knee in the same direction that you're pointing the middle left toe. Deep breath in, broaden your chest forward. Slow breath out, continue to scissor your left outer hip back. About 3 more breaths here. Listening to the sound of your breath, steadying your eyes, whether it be inward between the eyebrows or on the floor ahead, and feeling your intent for your practice. Setting your left foot flat on the ground, place your hands on the floor, and let's step into downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths, if you like, to shift around. You might pedal your feet in place, you might swivel the hips side to side, shake or nod the head a few times. Let your hands feel like they are pressing the mat away from your feet, so that whether you bend the knees a lot, a little, or none, you find the highest lift of your tailbone, like the peak of a mountain. And your weight is shifting down the backs of your legs, down through the heels, whether or not the heels touch the floor. You're firming the fronts of your thigh bones back as you engage your belly towards your spine. Feel the space throughout your neck and shoulders. Rotating the triceps towards the ground, lift the shoulders and look down towards your feet. Let's take a slow and modified vinyasa. Inhale, come forward, lower your knees in modified plank, shoulders right over wrists. Exhale, glide forward, hug the elbows to your sides as you bend them, lower the chin to the ground. Slide the chest and belly to the floor till the pelvis lands. Point the toes on the mat. Inhale into a baby cobra, drawing the shoulders down behind you and lifting the chest. Press through the hands, come back to all fours and tuck your toes. With an exhale, lift the pelvis high and again draw your weight towards the rear of your mat. Downward facing dog. Let's take 3 deep breaths. So we have different ways that you could practice the vinyasa. What we just did was the modified version, or you could go on hands and knees and take cat-cow like we did in the very beginning, or this next one is a full vinyasa. Inhale, come forward to a regular plank, unless you know you need to modify with knees down. Exhale, keep the spine long and glide forward. Lower halfway into a posture called Chaturanga Dandasana. Elbows hug the sides. From here, lower down to come into Cobra again, or flip the toes if you have no issues in your lower back and can take a deeper back bend called Upward Facing Dog. As you engage the belly, lift the tailbone back, Downward Facing Dog. Let's take a few breaths. Rooting down between your thumb and index, lift up to your shoulders and hips. Now with very bent knees, lift your heels and hips higher and look forward beyond your hands. Take a full cycle of breath so that after you exhale, you hold your breath out, lift your pelvic floor, engaging the abdomen to lightly land at the top of your mat in a forward fold. Parallel the feet hips width apart and shift a little more weight towards the balls of your feet. Bend your knees as much as needed to elongate your spine. Press your fingertips on the ground or blocks ahead or your legs. And inhale, traction your spine as you lengthen it forward, gazing towards the tip of your nose. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips. Rooting down through the feet, inhale, sweep the arms overhead. As you rise, keep the shoulders relaxed. So if you need to bring the hands more forward rather than straight up, you can make that adjustment for your shoulders. Exhale your hands together at the heart. Now let's flow continuously. You decide the way in which you lower. Cat-cow, modified vinyasa, or regular vinyasa, which includes chaturanga. Inhale, circle the arms overhead. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips. Inhale, press with the fingertips and lengthen the spine. Exhale from plank, lower the way you need to. Chaturanga, knees, chest, chin. Inhale into your version of lifting the chest. Exhale, feel the help of the belly engaging to downward facing dog. Once there, take 3 to 5 focused breaths. As we start to enter our personal rhythmic flow of breathing, we're going to take one more sun salutation A together and then dive into our own rhythms for the last 2 after that. Bending your knees deeply, look past where you want to land. First, empty the breath. Engage the lower belly to lightly land at the top of your mat. Then inhale, press with your hands and lengthen your spine forward. Exhale, bow forward. Rooting down through your feet, inhale, sweep the arms, keeping the shoulders relaxed as you watch the hands meet. Exhale, your hands down your center line. One more together. Inhale, raise the arms in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow forward in Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen forward in Ardha Uttanasana. Either step back and lower in your own way, or you might jump back to land in Chaturanga Dandasana. Breathe in to lift your heart. Breathe out, hollow the belly, and help lift your hips back to downward facing dog. Now, on your own, take a few cycles of breath to re-steady the sound rhythm. Feel a balance of exerting yourself while allowing and feeling ease. Then when you're ready, walk or float to the top of your mat, and at your own breath rhythm, Take 2 more rounds of Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutation A. Allowing breath to be your teacher. As you arrive in downward facing dog, check in with how your shoulders feel. How are you creating space across the shoulder blades and lengthening the neck, lifting the hips, lengthening the lower back, and creating stability through fingers spreading on the ground. Couple more breaths. Now, as you keep your hips squared, breathe in, raise the right leg behind you. As you exhale, bend the right knee towards your nose, stepping the foot just inside of the right hand. Stay on the ball of your left foot with your feet hips distance apart in a high lunge. Keeping the feet parallel, bring the energy into your legs as if scissoring them towards each other without visible movement. Feel your 2 hips equally face the front of your mat, hug them towards your midline, and begin to lift the arms and spine. Raising the arms overhead, or for more support and balancing, hands on your hips. Bend your left knee. You could always lower it to the ground for added support, or use the bend off the ground to help anchor the tailbone downward and orient your pelvic bowl more upright. Lifting through the sideways, through the fingertips, feel the shoulders soften down, broadening your chest as you gaze on one spot ahead or up, perhaps healing the palms for the last 3 breaths in crescent lunge. Now, joining your hands together at your heart, keep lifting the navel towards the spine and lengthen your spine diagonally forward to hover the belly off the right thigh. Continue to scissor your right hip back, firm the left heel back, and then lean into Warrior 3, where you flex the left foot off the ground, tilting the spine parallel to the floor, left leg parallel to the floor. You have the option of lowering your hands on blocks or the ground right under your shoulders to add support for balance, or to open the arms like wings, or add the rigor of extending the arms forward where the palms face each other. In Warrior 3, let's take 3 more breaths. Notice your left hip bone facing the ground, like we did in the first exercise where we lifted the leg on hands and knees. Tack the right hip back. Take 1 more inhale and slowly bend the right knee. Cartwheel the arms and land in Warrior 2, left foot landing at the rear of your mat. So as you arrive in Warrior 2, feel that your feet are about as wide apart as your hands are spread. The left leg is turning inward slightly, so your back knee and toes are facing the front of your mat diagonally. As you turn out your right leg, you're wrapping the right sitting bone under your body, bending the right knee directly above the heel. If you want more rigor, have a wide enough stance to bend the right knee 90 degrees. Aligning the middle of your right knee with your middle toe down the midline of your mat. Firm the top of your left thigh bone back towards the right wide width of your mat and feel your pelvic bowl upright as the spine lengthens. Open arms, relax the shoulders. With steady gaze, either just past the right hand or with eyes closed, directed to the space between the eyebrows. Let's take 3 more focused breaths. Virabhadrasana 2. Now begin to straighten the right leg and firm the right quadricep, front muscle of the thigh. As we prepare for triangle, you might like to shorten your stance about 2 inches. Slide your pelvis sideways towards the back edge of your mat while reaching the right hand towards your front wall. Feel the right side of your torso lengthen as you lower the right hand on your right leg, or just to the right of the leg, maybe on a block, pressing arm and leg against each other. Now make sure that your weight is not collapsing entirely down through that right hand. You could lift a finger or more because the leg muscles are engaged, sides of the torso and belly are engaged as you spiral your chest slightly to face the sky. Feel the sides of your neck lengthen, arms wide open for another 3 breaths, steadying your gaze either up past the left thumb or forward or down. From Utthita Trikonasana, root down to your feet and inhale to rise up, bend the right knee. And as you think of lifting your pelvic floor, do drag your left foot to meet your right foot at the top of your mat to stand. And once here, standing tall with feet touching, bend your knees to touch, sinking your weight towards your heels. Glide your shin bones back so that your toes are visible. Join your hands together at your heart and steady your eyes either on the ground or wall ahead. Shoulders relaxed, lower abdomen engaged. Shift your weight onto your left foot. As you flex your right foot, turn open your right thigh at the hip. Then pick up your right foot and cross that ankle over your left thigh like a figure 4. Keep drawing your sitting bones as evenly back and down as possible. Keep lifting the pelvic floor, drawing the navel towards your spine and heart. As the shoulders stay relaxed, feel your balance of exertion and ease. Now, as we stay about 3 more breaths here, you could raise the arms, you could reach for the ground or blocks, deepening this opening in the outer right hip. This is a preparation for flying single pigeon pose. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, rise up and set your right foot next to the left. Release the arms, mountain pose. Inhale, circle the arms overhead. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward. Take your own version of a vinyasa or none. Let's meet in downward facing dog. Once there, realign to your breathing. Keep your hips leveled. Inhale, raise the left leg behind you. Exhale, round the spine to lightly land the foot inside of your left hand. Come onto your fingertips with blocks or none. Parallel your feet, your hips width apart. Energize your legs by imagining that you're dragging your feet towards each other. No visible movement. Then begin to lift your pelvis upright, raising the arms overhead, crescent lunge. You could also place your hands on your hips for added support and balancing. Bend your right knee. You could lower it on the ground for even more support, or use the bend off the ground to feel more of anchoring the tailbone down, of lifting the frontal hip bone slightly as you square your hips evenly to face the front of your mat. Lengthen through the sides of your waist as you reach up to your fingertips. Relaxing your shoulders, steady your gaze. Hear the sound of your breath. Maybe the palms meet and you look up. 3 last breaths. In crescent lunge. Now feel your navel draw in towards your spine, lift up towards your heart. As you bring the hands together at heart center, breathe in to lengthen the spine diagonally forward. Keep scissoring the left hip back, firming the right heel back. As you gaze a few feet past the front edge of your mat, shift your body in that direction, flexing the right foot as you raise the right leg parallel to the floor. Turning the right hip bone to face the ground, continue to draw the left outer hip back. Equally lengthen the sides of your torso and play with any variations of your arms. Hands on the ground or blocks, arms open like wings. If more rigor, reach the arms forward, upper arms alongside the ears. Last 3 breaths. It is a practice to be in that stillness, even when it's not all easy and comfortable. Bending the left knee, try to carefully set the right foot back as you windmill the arms apart, landing in Warrior Two. Feel that your feet are about as wide apart as your hands. Your right leg internally rotates so that your right knee and toes are slightly facing the front of your mats. Your left leg externally rotates so the left sitting bone wraps underneath and down. Bending your left knee right above the heel. If looking for more rigor, bend that front knee 90 degrees. Align the middle of the left knee with the middle toe down the midline of your mat. And firm the top of your right thigh bone back towards the left wide width of your mat. Spine tall, shoulders relaxed, arms wide open. Steady your gaze for 3 more breaths. Straightening the left leg to prepare for triangle pose. You might like a shorter stance by 2 inches. Glide your hips sideways towards the back of your mat, reaching the left hand towards your front wall. Equally lengthening both sides of your torso as much as you can feel as you decide how low to lower your left hand on your leg, or to the left of your leg, where your arm and leg press against each other. Feel stability through your legs, the muscles in your torso, where you could lighten the weight of your left hand while spiraling the middle of your chest to slightly face the sky. Decide on your one-pointed focus through your eyes. 3 more breaths here in Utthita Trikonasana. Rooting down through both feet. Inhale, rise, rebend the left knee in Warrior Two. Drag right foot next to left foot. Inner thigh strength, yep, those adductors. And come to stand at the top of your mat. So with feet touching, bend your knees to touch. Sink your weight back towards your heels so that your toes are visible in chair. Join your hands at your heart and steady your gaze and breath. Shifting your weight onto your right foot, flex your left foot and turn out your left leg. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh and try to evenly draw your sitting bones back and down as you think of lifting your pelvic floor, as if you could zipper your lower belly in and up. Relax the shoulders. We're here for 3 more breaths. You might vary the arms by raising them up, going deeper into the opener by lowering the hands on props or the ground. Last breath here. Inhale, Rise up to stand. Exhale, set the left foot next to the right. Let's turn to face the wide width of your mat. Parallel your feet in a wide stance for Prasarita Padottanasana. Reach your hands behind you so we can open the chest. You could interlace the fingers or grab a strap to hold between your hands with your thumbs pointing to the outsides. As you parallel your feet, roll your shoulders back and take a deep breath in. Bend your elbows closer together and exhale to fold from your hips, elongating your spine. Let your head hang freely while lifting your arms up and away from your lower back to open the chest. Now slightly bend your elbows to help you lift your shoulders up and away from your neck. You might like to explore movement at your neck, just gently turning and nodding the head. Allow your weight to shift forward so it's slightly heavier on the balls of your feet as you firm the front muscles of your thighs, lifting your sitting bones. Let's take 3 more breaths in this version of Prasarita Padottanasana. Lower your fingertips on the ground ahead. Inhale, lift your chest and lengthen your spine parallel to the floor. Exhale, bend your knees and bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, lead with your chest and slowly lift your spine upright. Let's come to sit on the ground. Setting up for bridge pose, one of the last 2 back bends. If you have a yoga block or something like it, I invite you to take the skinniest width, this side, and firmly hug it between your thighs as you step your feet apart, parallel. If you don't have one, just make sure your thighs and feet are your hips distance apart and you're still firming against an imaginary block between thighs. Ground your feet, spread your toes, and reach the arms forward with your palms turned up. Now, before we go down, think of lifting your pelvic floor. It's that act of kind of putting on some tight jeans and zippering the lower belly in and up. So feel that to uplift even the back ribs, creating space in the lower back while not shrugging the shoulders. Take a moment here to really feel your triceps, these outer sides of your upper arms, rotate downward as you turn the palms to face up. Feel how that broadens across the shoulders and helps to open the chest too. Now just take a moment to lift the arms as you do that. Turn your palms without turning the shoulders, so use the wrists to face forward. Flex the wrists as if you're pushing into the ceiling with your hands. Bend the elbows forward and slide the shoulder blades down the back. You're still rotating the triceps towards the ground. Place the fingertips downward. Maybe they tap the tops of your shoulders. So your hands are alongside your ears against an imaginary wall behind your back. Now lift the heart and press the shoulder blades further down. Feel the space in your neck. Keep sitting tall, lifting the lower belly in and up. 2 more breaths here. This is what the arms do, not flaring the elbows apart, but keeping the arms parallel when we go into upward facing bow. Now we're going to take bridge pose, not upward facing bow, but with this variation of the arms. Extend the arms forward with the palms face up, and using your core stability muscles, very slowly lower onto your back. Deep breaths. Once your head meets the ground and your arms are straight down by your side, slide your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not quite, just almost. As you firm the block or imaginary block between your thighs, ground your feet and shoulders, raise the arms, and rotate triceps towards the front of your mat. It's the same thing that we've been doing. Turn your palms to face the ceiling, so flex the wrists, and now imagine you're hugging a wide block between your elbows. Try not to splay the elbows, keep the arms parallel, shoulders width apart, as you bend the elbows towards the ceiling. Your fingertips might or might not land on the floor beside your ears, but if they do land, let them point towards your shoulders, not towards the back of your mat. Keep hugging the elbows close together. Now broaden the chest. Slide the shoulder blades down the back. Press down to your feet and just lift the pelvis into bridge. Hands remain like this. Head stays on the floor, but tilt your chin slightly away from the chest. And let's take about 4 more breaths. Energize your hamstrings. Imagine as if you're dragging your heels towards your glutes without actually moving them. Feel the backs of your thighs and your glutes engage while you lengthen the fronts of your thighs forward and spin your inner thighs slightly towards the ground, keeping the thighs parallel. After your count of about 4 breaths, with an exhalation, slowly lower the upper spine, the middle spine, and the tailbone last. Now, you can opt to take the last back bend in a regular bridge, arms underneath you, maybe clasping the hands, or use the preparation we just did to perhaps enter Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow. Arms stay parallel. Inhale, lift the pelvis like bridge. If you're entering upward bow, take it step by step. Keep the breath steady and place the crown of your head on the floor. Look at your hands and see if you need to spread them apart a little wider to prevent flaring the elbows apart. Continue to draw the shoulder blades down your back. If there's no strain in the lower back as you lengthen the tailbone forward, thighs remain parallel. You might push off your hands, lifting the head off the floor. Energize your hamstrings, pretending you're dragging your heels towards your glutes while lengthening the fronts of your thighs forward and spinning your inner thighs slightly towards the mat. After 5 to 10 deep breaths, in reverse, slowly lower. That's first bringing the top of your head to the floor, then tucking the chin towards your chest, then slowly lowering 1 vertebra at a time. When your pelvis meets the ground at your own pace, try not to hug the knees in just yet. Open the arms wide apart like a T, keeping the shoulders on the ground. Pick up your right leg and wrap it over your left leg, scooting your pelvis a couple inches closer to the right side of your mat. As your right shoulder remains on the ground, gently drop your knees towards your left side, only as far as that right shoulder can stay grounded. Turning your head to the right can help stretch the neck as well. Now bring your attention to your right outer hip. As you remain in this twist, think of drawing your right outer hip forward. That's away from your torso and towards your feet, tractioning your lower spine. Let's take 2 last deep breaths here in the supine twist. Engaging the belly, slowly roll onto your back and uncross your legs. Keep the arms wide open, then cross the left leg over the right. Scoot your pelvis a little closer to the left edge of your mat. As you keep the left shoulder grounded, begin to drop your knees to your right. By turning your head to your left, you can offer your neck a stretch. Deep breathing. Now notice your left outer hip. Think of tacking it away from the left side of your torso and towards your feet. Last 2 breaths. And rolling onto your back. Separate your knees bent apart and take one last posture that helps you to cool down, whether it be shoulder stand, if you normally practice that and can do so safely, happy baby, supine frog, the last 2 where you ground the tailbone down, or rotate the thigh bones at the hips. Maybe resting the legs straight up against a wall if you have one nearby. If your hands are free and don't need your support, maybe rest your hands at your belly, or one to your heart, one to your lower belly. And take just 3 more deep breaths into the abdomen, slower breaths out to your mouth to help relax your nervous system, mind and body deeper. And as you feel ready, find a comfortable position to place your body in stillness, where you can rest and observe it for a few minutes. Now, in the remaining 2 minutes of our practice, choose what you know that you need to stay longer in Shavasana and not move, or to gently lift the up for a guided meditation. If the latter, please do so. Find a comfortable way to sit upright, close your eyes, or leave them half closed where you could turn your attention inward. This meditation is led by a mantra, an ancient Sanskrit mantra, so hum. Literally, it means I am that. It acknowledges that you are the observer of your thoughts and the object of observation, that you are pure consciousness. So we begin with hands resting on the lap, sitting tall, allowing the breath to flow naturally. As you feel the movement of your breath, visualize your inhalations beginning at the bottom of your spine, traveling up each vertebra. So at the top of your natural inhale, the breath hovers above the crown of your head. As you exhale, you visualize the breath descending down your spine. At empty, the breath to above the crown. Exhale from the crown down to the tailbone. As you continue to visualize that, imagine your breath as a ball, an energy ball of light. streaming up, then down your spine. Still allowing breath to be natural. Let's add the mantra. As you breathe in, watch the breath rise. Say in your mind, so I am. As you breathe out, watching the breath descend, say in your mind, hum, that pure consciousness. Inhale up, so. Exhale down, hum. Repeating at the pace of your breath. Allow a deeper inhalation to lift your heart as you join your palms to meet there, culminating this practice. If you're still laying down and you want to end the practice with us, gently lift your body up. Pausing a moment to just observe the effects of all parts and forms of your yoga today. Remembering that Dhyana is also a state of being in which we can be observant of our minds in our daily lives, allowing love and pure consciousness to flow. Let's close chanting one Om. Take a deep breath in. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.